Ecclesiastes chapter 4. To give courage. To give courage. To encourage one another. All over Scripture you will find edification, you will find building up, you will find this point of helping each other. As I go about this, I want to remind you that Jesus didn't just come himself. He immediately surrounded himself with a group, and that group became literally the ministering arm of God for salvation and for the church. And that's important to remember, because in the faith of following Jesus Christ, there's no such thing as Lone Ranger. And you can always point out, Lone Ranger, there was no such thing, okay? What would you say? Tonto. I mean, it's an absolute paradox. It's ridiculous. There's no such thing. And even if there wasn't Tonto, what else did Lone Ranger have? His trusty horse. That's right. If that boy had to get off and walk, it'd have been a whole different experience. So understand encouraging each other. I hope that you will get the general gist of what I'm trying to come across, and that is, please do not be to yourself. You cannot say you walk in the Holy Spirit and be to yourself. You cannot say that you're a follower of Jesus Christ, be to yourself. Jesus was almost never alone. And even when he did get alone to be with the Father, he didn't mind being interrupted. He didn't say, hey, I'm doing something here. You go away. He didn't do that. So I want you to get this. In 1 Thessalonians, we saw this last week. Therefore, encourage one another and build one another up just as you are doing. Up in what? Build each other up in what? In the faith. In the faith. Okay, this is not just whatever you want to do. This is in the faith. All right? This is in the faith. It's ridiculous for a football player to ask the coach if he could have batting practice. The coach is going to say, I'm sorry, but you're on the wrong team, son. You need to go somewhere else. This team is about faith. This team is about faith in Jesus Christ. If anybody else wants to go another direction, forget it. We're not going there. This is about Jesus Christ, about faith in God, salvation in Jesus Christ. And I want to encourage that, because this is what this is about, building each other up in faith. Then in Romans 15:2 it says, let each of us please his neighbor for his good, leading to what? Edification, okay? And that word means build up, to build them up. This is really important. Now, building up isn't always telling people what they want to hear. Hello? That's not always the way you go about it. When my chosen children came to me, and I've thought about that a lot lately, because we've been hosting foster and adoptive training here at the church. That's a part of what we should be about, is facilitating the adoption of orphans, the actual care of children. 7,000 children in this state right now. No home. No home. 7,000. You don't have to go to a faraway country. They're right here. Right here. But I remember when I got my chosen children, one of the things that was helpful is that one of the counselors that worked with particularly Matthew, Matthew understood that Pam and I were not necessarily going to tell him what he wants to hear. And that was very helpful, actually. So when I would say, Maddie, you can't do this, and we don't do that, and you can't be like this, and so on and so forth. It didn't necessarily change him immediately, but the fact is that he at least understood that it was good for him. Okay? All right? And he didn't run away. Well, he did once, but he came back. How many of you actually ran away from home when you were a kid? All right. Yeah. So, again, the point here is that sometimes encouragement isn't necessarily telling somebody what they want to hear. Jesus didn't always say, kudos. Sometimes he said, hey, fellas, you're wrong here. I mean, I think about, when he was preparing for the cross and they couldn't stay awake. He didn't say that was okay. He said, can't you just stay with me for a while? Can't you tolerate just a moment? So I don't want it to sound like, it's all fuzzy and soft always. Sometimes being encouraging means saying something that people need to hear, but saying in what? In love, which makes all the difference in the world. And everybody usually knows when somebody's trying to love them and when somebody's trying to hurt them. Then also, for myself as a pastor, this is really important, and I want you, and I try to keep clarifying this because it's important for you to know what the Bible tells me, what God tells me my job is as a pastor. Okay? Because I don't work for you. I don't. I work for who? God. You do too. You do too. I don't know if you noticed or not, but he owns the sun and the moon and the stars and the mountains and the valleys, the ocean and the plains. He owns it all. Okay? Remember, you work for God. And you live to His pleasure. Well, my role as a pastor is here clearly defined in Ephesians 4. It says, and He Himself gave some to be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers. All of them are for. Not themselves. They're for the equipping of the saints. Okay, who are the saints? All of us. Turn to your neighbor and say, good morning, saint. So equipping of the saints for the work of the ministry, for the edifying. Now, notice that word, edifying. Edifying. Building up, encouraging the body of Christ. Because that's who we are. We're the body of Christ. I was in Amarillo, and I came in to eat breakfast at a hotel there. There was a young man there, just he and I. And something I do often, I don't do it always, but I do it often, is that when I sit down with somebody, I'll say, can I pray for you? I'm going to pray over my meal here in a minute. Can I pray for you? And his name was Jason. He happened to be from Omaha. He worked for Tyson, and he travels the country. He's a young man. I wished I had his body. He looked to be in pretty good shape. I didn't talk about it, but anyway. My body wasn't feeling too great. So, I said, Jason, can I pray for you? He said, that would be great. That'd be great. I thought about my Uncle Jim, because I did that in a restaurant a long time ago. And my Uncle Jim said, in a restaurant? You're going to pray in a restaurant out loud? Oh, God, get it over with. Hurry up. Anyway. But the point here is simply this, is that, Jason said, I would love that. See? Now, he could have very well have said to me, no, I'm offended that you even asked. I eat my banana, move on. I mean, it's not a big deal. But we prayed together, and then we talked. You see? Edification, saints, building each other up. I'm pretty sure that Jason had a better spiritual day because we prayed together in the hotel breakfast area. I know I did. So again, I want you to understand that that's my job, and that's our job actually, but my job is to build this body. And so understanding this, and I think some of these details are really helpful, understanding this word, edification, edifying, to build a house, literally, usually signifies to build, whether literally or figuratively. The present participle, the ones building, is used as a noun, the builders. And that's who we are. We're the builders. It's used metaphorically in the sense of edifying, promoting the spiritual growth and development of character of believers by teaching or by example, suggesting such spiritual progress as a result of patient labor. Also, of the effect of this upon local churches, and of the individual action of believers toward each other, and of an individual in regard to himself, where it is translated emboldened. The apostle uses it in the pathetic irony of the action of a brother in building up his brother. What do we often say about men? Iron sharpens iron. Right. One man sharpens another. Ladies do the same thing. It's not a gender deal, but it's still the fact that we build each other. So you come in here and you rub shoulders with people, and it helps you, and it helps me, and it helps us all. And that's what it's really all about. But in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, I want us to kind of zero in here for a moment upon this passage, and I want us to see in each one of these verses, in particular 9, 10, 11, and 12, these sort of things, and you may not have actually thought about this before, but it's actually there when it tells us that we were meant to have others in our lives, and to have each other is more important, and it's very important actually. And the first thing is this idea of productivity. Productivity, okay? Now, has anybody got a cough today? Yes? Okay, I have a cough drop in my pocket. Do you know how many times like I'm preaching, somebody will see I'm coughing, and guess what people do after the sermon? They come up and give me a cough drop. Now, I do kind of pay attention as to how worn it is. And if it's melted to the package, I might pass. But anyway, the bottom line is what? What are people trying to do? Help me. You see? Help each other. All right? Now, this is really important for us. And think about this, okay? So, in Ecclesiastes, verse 9, chapter 4, 2 are better than 1. Why? Because they produce more. They produce more. 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to go and see Matthew. Alan Klein, one of our members here, had it on his bucket list to go to the Grand Canyon. I've been to the Grand Canyon, so that wasn't the point for me, actually. The point for me was to be with my children. Okay? I'm trying to learn this thing now. They live other places, they have their lives, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do about that. If it wasn't for God and the love of the Lord and so on and so forth, I'd just be like, have a good life. Anyway, but that's not, I don't think that's what I'm supposed to do. I think I'm supposed to keep trying to do this thing. So anyway, Matty's been out there since January, and he's doing an internship, and he works there at the Grand Canyon at South Rim. And so, I felt it was important for one of us, Pam or I, to go out and see him. The Grand Canyon is not Pam's thing. So I said, well, I'll go. And so I worked it out. I got sick, and I got messed up, and then I was really concerned if I was even going to be able to go, because we were going to camp, and we were going to hike, and take Matthew down to the bottom of the canyon, which, I think is a really fun thing to do together as father and son, and so on. So we did, okay? So I got out there, and And again, this whole thing, 2 are better than 1, more productive. So, Alan going along helped a lot because we shared the cost. And my time is always of an issue. It's hard for me to take time off. And sharing the driving, made it possible for us to drive and to get there quickly. So we drove straight through 1,300 miles, bam, just like that. And, one can sleep and the other can drive while the other one's sleeping, so on. Again, you see, you could go farther with 2 people. How could we go even farther? 3 people. That's right. Yeah. So again, 2 are better than 1. 2 are better than 1. And then when you actually get out and do this thing of hiking the Grand Canyon, I got to be honest with you and tell you, this is the hardest thing I ever did in my life. Physically speaking, that's the hardest thing I've ever done. I literally was concerned about my and our well-being. Matthew was fine. I was about to treat him like a mule and pack him down. I was trying not to pass it all over on the young, But again, so Alan even brought this little flag from Mo West, because Matty goes there, and he's going to graduate here in a couple weeks, 3 weeks, I think, May 7th. And, the bottom line is this. Matthew goes to Mo West. Alan don't go to Mo West. He's thinking about somebody else, you see. And if you'll notice, actually, you can't see it for me so much, but these fellas have packs on their backs. And we're carrying things for each other. Matthew's carrying the tent, sleeping bags, and some other items and so on. Alan ended up carrying most of the stuff, which became a bit of a challenge. But my point simply is this: we shared the load together, okay? Now, not only that, but we also carried each other's water. Because if you don't have water out there, you'll die. And that's not a joke. You will die if you don't have water. So again, I learned a lot, and it really applies to what it means to be a church. Now, it wasn't just us. There are other people out there, okay, on the trail. And they can help each other. They can help each other. So, for instance, came across a ranger. And the ranger stopped and talked to us. And the ranger gave us a piece of advice and said, when you get to Indian Garden, take your boots off, get as much off as you can, set everything off, drink a lot, sit in the shade, take a nap, just be there for 2 hours, and don't come out of Indian Garden until 1 p.m. so that the sun is over here. And by the time you get to the part that's going to actually try to kill you, you won't be in the sun so much, and you might have a chance of surviving. We listen to the ranger, okay? Because if you don't listen to people that know what they're talking about, you're an idiot. That's Greek. So we did that, and it made a big difference, It made a big difference. We could have just, kept trucking through and then maybe not made it at all. So I want you to understand these things actually matter. They actually matter. So also, 2 are better than 1 in the fact that we work better together. We accomplish more together. Every one of you has a unique set of skills, personality, and thoughts, and so on. And your contribution to others and others to you is what this whole thing is really all about in the building up of ourselves in the faith. I want to also point out something that's really important for us. Does anybody know that this is a Southern Baptist church? Do you know that? Do you? Okay, do you know, one, it was Southern Baptist before I got here. All right? But I really believe in being a Southern Baptist at this time, unless something goes really haywire, and it can. But the reason I do is because of the cooperative program. Does anybody know what the cooperative program is? My daughter Hannah was in Fusion. Fusion is a missions program. And one of the funniest things to me was, she comes home after one of her weekend breaks from her training and so on, and she goes, "Dad, Do you know that Southern Baptists have a thing called the cooperative program? And I was like, no, never heard of it, you know. And it was really funny. And she's like, Dad, it's the greatest thing. And it was fun for me to see, you know, the younger discovery. You know, Pam was Southern Baptist when I met her, so I didn't change her. But, and I actually came to Christ in a Southern Baptist church led by a born-again Jew in Boulder, Colorado, which is just defies all things. But anyway, the point being is that what is the cooperative program? Does anybody know? What is it? I hear a lot of mumbling. Okay, I have $1 in my pocket. Okay? And I need to take Justin to lunch. All right? He likes a good lunch. So no, I'm just teasing. So I got to take Justin to lunch, okay? I got $1. That ain't enough. I got to have more. So how can I take him to lunch? Yeah, somebody else got $1. Anybody else got $1? Yeah, okay, so now I already saw enough hands. We're going to lunch. Yeah. Anyway, so again, you know, the point is that we bring everything together because when we bring it together, we can do more. Now, here's another thing, and the reason that Southern Baptists started this back in 1925 is to keep fundraising out of the church. You don't know this, but 100 years ago, every Sunday there was a plea for money. And they stopped it by doing the cooperative program. But not only that, when you put everybody's part together, so my $1 doesn't do much, but our $1 does a lot. Doesn't that sound wise? Now here's the funniest thing. I know Ginger's going to be here today. But this kind of shows you sort of the approach. Our church gives. So when you give to the Lord here, 10% of what you give goes to missions, goes to the cooperative program, goes to supporting all kinds of things. And I don't have enough time to tell you about all of it, but you can look it up yourself. Okay? You got internet, go look. But there's lots of things out there that can show you. I brought Gary in today. I told Ginger, I said, go tell Gary I talked about him. But anyway, you know, this is Pastor Gary. He used to be on staff with us 13 and a half years. Now, this is one of his quotes. The cooperative program is critical for helping revitalize pastors and churches in Missouri. Pastoral ministry strategist for the Missouri Baptist Convention. In the short time I have served in this position, I've seen how difficult it can be for pastors ministering in declining churches or struggling communities. They need resources to help them succeed. They need what does that say? Encouragement to inspire them to continue and serve faithfully. So for instance, we are going to gather together in St. Louis in June. Southern Baptist Convention is in St. Louis in June. We are taking a team the weekend before to take advantage of all those Southern Baptists that will be gathering there. They're already there. And we're going to do what's called crossover. All right? And crossover means we get there early and then we cross over to the convention meeting. And so we're going to be working with a church plant just a little bit outside of St. Louis, and we're going to be working together. So thousands of Southern Baptists will be coming together in St. Louis, and instead of just eating and meeting, they're going to do what? They're going to make a difference in the community. Guess where some of the places are going? Ferguson. By the way, if you want to go with us, June 10th, the weekend of June 10th, we'll be going, spending a couple days, and then come back, or you can stay for the convention. Again, productivity. But also, there's support. In verse 10, there is support. All right? And this is saying, for if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. When I got to the bottom of the canyon, my legs actually quit. No, it's a fact. They quit. I had to sit down and lay down, and I was just hoping that they would come back. Going down was just as hard, only different, as going up. Can you imagine if I was by myself? How frightening that would be? How frightening it is for you to have trouble in your life and be by yourself? We're not meant to be by ourselves. So here's something I want to say to everybody. Please do not keep your life a secret. I've been your pastor a long time. I know a lot about all of you. I wish that we all knew about each other. I know that we have to be careful sometimes, because not everybody treats everything the same. But I do know this. You ought to be in a connection group, and your connection group ought to know what's going on with you. You ought to know the realities of your life. And even if you serve on Sunday morning in a way that you can't be in a connection group on Sunday morning, then get in a connection group that meets in other times of the week, because we have a few of those too. But be together. Support one another. All right? I'll say it again. All right? All right? All right. Also, we also have not only support, but warmth. Warmth. What does warmth mean? Well, warmth is the fact that, again, if two lie together, they can keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? And again, this is just the idea that being together actually builds each other up. We give each other warmth, passion, a sense of meaning, a sense of worth and value. We give each other a sense of significance. And, even though Maslow takes credit for this stuff, the fact is that he's just noticing how God set things up. And belonging is important. Very important to belong to one another. And it makes a big difference. And then finally, there is protection. There is protection. And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. And I want to say something to you. We're not going to beat the devil in our lives without each other. And I want to be real pointed here, okay? If there's something in your life that is taking you over and it's tearing you down, you need to be honest with somebody else about what's going on for you and ask for their prayer, their encouragement, their involvement. But that's risky, isn't it? I've always wanted to have Truth Sunday, We take our worst sin that we struggle with and we put it on our foreheads and all walk around on Sunday morning. That might even make the papers. But see, that's scary, isn't it? Because you don't want people to know what's going on with you. We struggle. We want to keep our stuff hidden. Well, I just want to tell you something. You'll never be free until you bring it out in the open. And that's not bad, that's good. Because we need each other. We need each other. And again, how many of you actually retired from Wire Rope or worked at Wire Rope? Anybody here? Amy, Harold? Yeah? Anybody else? All right. Wire rope, perfect example. You take all those little strands, put it together, it makes a really powerful cord. And that's what this whole thing as a church is really all about. And that's how the devil's defeated.
Whoa, what's going on, Mr. Voss?
Biology, Derek.
Fair enough.
Can someone tell me what happens when a cell stagnates?
Okay, no one's listening to me.
I will try again. Anyone know what happens to a stagnant cell?
What's he doing on the table?
I don't know, something about cells.
Malia,
It's not good.
did you hear that? It ain't good. People, a cell that is not in motion is not a productive member of the system. It ends up assuming all the other cells are going to pick up the slack somewhere, but they don't. In fact, they imitate the stray cell until basically the whole organism begins to die. Yeah, but you know what? Biology is an amazing thing. And here's the good news. All that decays can be restored.
It's just hitting anybody.
Like how a cut heals.
Like how a cut heals. Brian, my man.
Look, you got one.
And once that cell is back on track, it creates energy amongst the other cells. That's what happens.
It starts getting a little movement going.
It gets a little rumble. Can I get a little rumble from everybody? Everybody just rumble in your seats right now for me. Just rumble a little bit. Okay, no rumble. That's fine. I'll be the lone rumbler up here. That's what I am. I'm a lone rumbler. But then the cell starts banging into the other cells. And the cells push back and go, hey, what are you doing to me? They hit him to another one. Hey, don't do that. Hey, that's my friend. You don't even know him. You don't know me either. I know you, we work together. Because then they hit a rhythm. They all hit a rhythm. And this is the beginning of the restorative process. So now, even if the entire system is close to dead, what happens? Martinez, come on. Give me something. Oh no, not today.
Oh no, not in my house. No.
Look out, here we come. Don't look up my pant leg, Derek. You're better than that. Right over you.
Come on, man. What do you say? If all the cells work together, what will happen?
Entire system is healed.
Exactly. That is a sick dragon.
Stand with me. Encourage one another. Build one another. Support one another. Work together. Cooperatively. Be in a connection group, my friends. Be in a connection group. And those of you that are going to connection group right now, I would ask you to ask this question. Are we producing more? Are we supporting? Are we warming? Are we protecting? Is your group really working in all that God intended it to be? As we sing this song, if God wants you to do something today, please do it as we sing.